Today's a Q&A, all right? That means you can question and I will answer. Okay, I almost said question and I will ask. But that would be a senseless game of just inquiring against each other. So there's a frog typing. Oh my God, that would be such a funny image. I'm actually picturing a frog typing. We got some new people in the mix. Okay, what's up? Aziel. We got oh no, it's still there. Jeannie, got Case, Lasagna 37. That's definitely it's a God-given name, most likely. And Michael's here, of course. Salute. I don't know where you are in the mix, Michael. It looks like that's from last time. Okay, that was get on the ball, Charlie. Here we go. All right. Well, you guys are here, so you might as well ask me a question to start it off. I'll start it, actually. I'm going to ask you guys. Oh, Anthea, what's up, dude? How you doing? Anthea, where are you? And that's a good invitation for everyone to let me know. What's up, Kai Whaley? Anybody, let me know where you're from. I'll let you guys know. I'm in Manalapan, New Jersey. Okay? That's where I'm living. That's where I reside. That's where I stay, near my home wall, with my wife and my dog. Oh, sick. What? Getting back from Font, back from the Blow, going to Lake Tahoe. That's sick. From Cape Town. Oh my God. Can you imagine if you were from Cape Town? Jeez, just have the best rock on the planet right there in the city that you live, and even better rock. I mean, actually, it's just as good of rock, if not better, actually. Yeah, I'm wifed up. Vermont, Lasagna 37. Where in Vermont? I used to go to Vermont every single winter and summer. And Frog, here we go. We got a little question right out of the gates. Do you have any tips for transitioning weight across volumes / slopey feet? I often find there's an awkward transition point where you don't have either foot fully weighted, so there isn't enough friction and the feet tend to slip. Aha. Okay, well, Frog, let me tell you this. Oh man, there's so many ways I can go about this, but I'm just going to start where I organically want to. And that is when you are going to weight the front foot. The goal is actually not to take your weight off of the back foot yet. So what you want to do is keep your body over this back foot, but as you place this other foot in front, you're not just relying on your body to then move over it and weight it. What you're actually doing is you're placing that foot and then with the leg itself pushing down. So you never remove force from this. You just apply force over here into that foot. And as long as you're on over this foot, and then when you shift, what you're doing is you basically have, let's say there's 100% weight that's passive just on this foot, and then 100% of weight active on this foot. As you start to shift into the new foot, you're shifting this active amount down to now 90, 80, 70. But as you're going, this leg is losing that passive weight. So you're actually actively pressing down on that leg as you lose it, move away from it. So when you shift on slab, it shouldn't just be balancing and hoping that your feet don't slip. It's ensuring that the feet don't slip. So you're actively pressing down with the heel, and then you're flexing your foot. And if the leg is bent into the side, you're flexing the leg and trying to push down hard into that. So you're applying force. You're not just, hoping that your foot placement is good and that, oh man, I hope that I can have that foot there and have the little bit of weight that I will when I'm at this point in the transition and it doesn't slip. No, you're always trying to make sure that when you go, you have a plan of how much weight am I going to put into it. Then you said, any tips from transitioning weight across sloping? Yeah, I guess that's it. I mean, the other thing is when you step, you have to realize that when your feet are not in, so like this is the volume, right? When your feet are just like this, this is flat ground, right? I'm walking. Then I've got the slopey volume. If I step on it like this and I try to push force downwards, that's when it slips and slides, right? When I'm not matching the surface of that volume. And now, and this will happen to you all the time, right? Like you've transitioned, you're about to take that back foot off. You did it, you did the move, and then it slips. And you're like 95% of the way through the move, that back foot slips and you fall backwards. Or you just like slowly lose balance and teeter off. It's because, yes, you lost pressure on it, but as that foot lifts at the very end, it does this. Let's say you had your heel dropped. It was great placement on that slopey foot or that slap volume. But now as you're leaving it, either like this or from the side, let's say, the same thing's happening, it's going to then do this at the very end. So your goal shouldn't be to take it off like this. The goal should be to keep it like this, and as you pull up the littlest bit, you keep flexing your toes into it, and then you lift the foot off like that. So you try to not let it get to that very end, because that's usually when the slip happens, when it's just the toe pointing down on something sloped like that. Okay, whoa. And the questions, they started a-coming. Okay, so here we go. Brennan, MTB, what's up? I'm a high-level outdoor boulder, and all of my training is tailored towards improving outdoors. When I hop on gym sets, I routinely get shut down by grades that are well below my limit. I try not to get in my head about it because it's ultimately not the style of climbing that I'm looking to improve on, but sometimes it is tough. Do you have tips for how to deal with the negative thoughts that arise from self-imposed expectations like these? Is there untapped potential I'm missing out on by not working on gym sets and just sticking to a spray wall? Okay, so Brennan, the best climber is the one that, I mean, this is how we can define the most well-rounded climber, right? In my opinion, the best climber is the one that succeeds or on the most amount of terrain, styles, grips, whatever be it, right? So if your goal is to be a very well-rounded, experienced climber, then this is really highlighting the fact that maybe you have a big area where you can improve, and it's the style that is in line with whatever your gym sets commercially. There's nothing that's, not rock climbing about your gym sets. They're just setting different moves. It's probably on different wall angles, different grip types, different aspects of how the muscles need to fire, in what pattern, with what consideration of coordination, timing, and what skills, right? That's all it is. It's just like the same type of argument people make about coordination moves. Oh, that's ridiculous. It's not climbing. It's parkour. No, it's just like that static reach you're making, except you need to move faster and you need to get to that hold, and it's a little bit further. The muscles are doing the same thing, right? It's just they're doing it in a different way. So if I were you, what I would do is not be so focused on interpreting this experience as an end all. This is me as a climber, right? You are, however old you are dynamically moving through your life and your climbing life. So you have stumbled upon something that is now a golden opportunity. You are as great as you are outdoors while having this huge weakness, which means, dude, you're so good. If you just get a little bit better at this indoor thing, imagine how good you'll be. The amount of moves, let's say maybe per year outside, I'm just going to make up a number, 15 moves really baffle you. You get really good inside. That number might drop to 5. That would be a benefit to outdoor climbing, right? If 10 moves per year on 10 different climbs didn't really, you didn't have to give them 15 to 20 attempts. You could just do them first try. You add that up, that's 10. That's 150 to 200 attempts you get back next year. I think that's worth it. And not only this year, if you just stay regularly excited to get on those boulders for years to come, you can keep that and you can get even better. And maybe those moves never baffle you anymore. So I think it's definitely worth it. And I think that when you're asking for how to deal with the negative thoughts that arise from self-imposed expectations like these, it seems like there is one other aspect to this, which is there's a disparity here between who you've explained to me that you are and then who you think that you should be, right? You are an outdoor climber. You're great outside. They're different things. It's like an outdoor climber and a comp climber. How many times have I met a comp climber that's freaking incredible in comps? They win comps. They go outside. They can't do double digits. They can't. But inside in the comp, they're doing V11 comp boulders every session. They just don't have those skills. They're not spending all their time focusing on the different strategic elements, those very specific technical elements. you got to think about it like this, Brennan, because this is the reality. Think about what you do in a session outside. Now think and make a list. Literally, write out all the things that you do in a session outside. The strategies, the tactics, how much do those come into play, right? Then think about the movements and the hold types. Literally write them out and look at, like, if you were to write this out, right, and make a spreadsheet, and then look at the frequency of, like, sloper. There we go. How about climbing outside? Sloper, frequency, once every 5 sessions, right? Like maybe, like the average person, if you're climbing at high-level boulders, then go inside. Frequency, once every boulder or every other boulder. Pinches, how about that? It's just like you're gonna see, like, oh crap, it's a totally different game. Actually, like there are so many huge differences. Like, how about, like, huge cut feet move? How many times do you do that outside? Like once, maybe a session. Inside, 10 to 20. If you're doing a circuit or if you're getting on hard boulders, and then just like the texture, right? And then also just how about the fact that when you go inside, the conditions are always perfect. And outside, you've learned how to master the conditions. Right? You know when to try things, and that makes a big difference because the first ascensionists probably weren't doing that. So the boulders may feel a little bit easier than it did for the grade that was assigned. I mean, there are just so many different ways to think about it realistically. Whenever you have negative thoughts, I think that 95% of the time, it's just due to false realities that we are living in, that we tell ourselves. And in climbing, I'd say that number is probably like 100, honestly. So I think you're expecting way too much out of a situation that just shouldn't have expectations. You should just be going inside and be like, all right, cool training tool. It looks like I can get better at that. Cool. I expected that because I don't do this. Okay, I'm gonna move on. Reese Anthony. Hey Charlie, I've been climbing about a year and 3 months now. I climb around 6B plus 6C outdoors and about 7A on the kilter, and I'm really keen to improve efficiently. Would love to know what movement mistakes do you most commonly see in climbers around 6B, 6C? We'll hopefully catch you in Rockland sometime. Heck yeah, dude. We'll probably see you this summer. Okay, so let's try all of them. So the problem with 6B and 6C climbers is they've got 6B and 6C technique. So they kind of aren't exceptional at anything, right? Because they don't have the ability to get on and get very high quality practice of more advanced techniques. So for me to just say, I'm going to just be honest with you, Reese Anthony. I get a little pissed off when I hear coaches say, oh man, I see climbers make the biggest mistake that this grade climber makes, or like beginners, the biggest thing beginners make a mistake of is it's like, yeah, no, duh. They're beginners. By definition, they're not good at anything. They just started. How can you get good at something if you are just a beginner at it, right? You're a beginner level at everything. So you are at the moderate level. You have a moderate technical ability at everything. I don't know who you are, right? I don't know who the other 6C or 6B climber is. The things that I see 6B or 6C climbers really struggle with are the things that are not introduced yet at those grades. But really, everything is technically introduced. It's just not really needed yet. It's not forced aggressively. I could really cherry pick here. I could say, how many times have you had to do it to tweeze or clamp holds, where you open both hips and squeeze with the bottom of your feet to hold on to something while you transition your hands? Probably not. Inverting a drop knee? Probably not. You've probably never done these things. So of course, those are the things you're going to have the most trouble with. Anyone who has like any brain is going to be like, oh, keeping tension. They just don't know how to keep tension with their legs. They don't know how to activate the posterior chain. Yeah, no duh, because it's the most complicated coordination component in rock climbing. But I've actually seen people at the lower level naturally that don't have great arm strength. They just start to do that because that's the only way I'm staying on this wall. So it depends on the person. It's like they don't know that that's what they're doing, but they're doing it. They're doing a great job of it. So I'm sorry if that kind of took the air out of your your tire there. Like there's just, it's a sport that individuals do, and that like, at each level you can, there's a certain amount to expect of that level. It's not like that level classically struggle, you know what I mean? Sorry. I'm gonna go on to the next question. What's your favorite crag outside of America? Oh man, people are gonna hate this answer. No, they might not. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. My favorite crag is Fontainebleau, but the best crag I've ever been to, the best bouldering I've ever done, is New Zealand at Castle Hill, or just in that area. But my favorite crag to be at, to be, by far, it's not even close, is Rocklands in the summer. And that's because of the vibes and the fact that it is quite literally adult summer camp. If anyone came to that webinar last week, it's the best place on earth. Anthea, if you're still here, which you are, like, if you know, you know. Okay, trying some 7B plus Fraser Cranium, trying some 7B plus benchmarks on the Moonboard. How can you differentiate between a strength deficiency and a technique issue? Whoa. You just asked one of the hardest questions there is to ask a coach. I've had conversations with coaches about how to answer this exact question, because it is so difficult to answer, because a lot of the time it is just both, right? And they feed into each other. And I think this is a really good way for me to answer this, actually. There's a spectrum, right? Like, do I see somebody that's really strong and just fumbles the move because they just didn't use their technique properly? Totally. That exists. 100%. If you can, if you can feel really comfortable on the holds, you're feeling really good on the hands. This is like how you know, okay? If you feel really good on the hands and it's not that hard for you to get the distance to the next hold, and if you grab that hold, you can hold it, right? Like, it's not an issue. I'm holding that hold. I'm holding this position. It's chill. Even going to it, it's like I'm getting there. I'm just getting there in a really poor way. I'm coming out, or I'm not getting the trajectory to where I can actually get my hand there and grab it with enough time. Now, here's the thing. That's a good way to think. If I feel really good on the holds before it, like they feel like excellent, again, a spectrum, like excellence, like they're feeling like jugs, let's just say. And then I'm not getting the next hold, which is right there, but I'm coming out and I have poor trajectory, then the odds are it's probably a technical issue. Or you can hold all the holds, hold all the positions. They feel really easy, but going between the holds it's just, you're not able to do it. Odds are it's technique. But the best technique, and I will say this until the day I die, the best technique in the world to have is strong fingers. Strong fingers is the best technique. Why? Because technique, what is technique? It's utilizing your body to form positions to allow you to move from one hand hold to the other hand hold, or from one foot hold to the other foot hold. But it's really to move from one hand to the other hand hold efficiently and with success. High probability of success. So if I have a really strong grip and I grab that crimp, the magnitude of which I need to control and exert force to create stability through the rest of my body drops. The requirement for that drops. It's just like, here's the most extreme case. I can just put my foot on that hold. I don't even need to put it on. I can hover my feet over the hold, make it look like I'm using them. Campus. And I would look like, if you couldn't tell that my foot wasn't on it, I'd look like I had perfect technique. But I don't, right? So technique could in that case be described as putting weight into my feet and there again, it is again being efficient, or the body part that will petter out last, the weakest chain, link in the chain, which is 95% of the time our fingers, is allowing those to keep all of their energy and not lose it. Man, I'm trying to answer this question, but anyway, because that concept exists, and it's very difficult to understand how much of a technical shortcoming was it? How much of a strengthening was it? Because when a really bad coach is just like, dude, you just got to be stronger, they ain't wrong. They're not. They're really not wrong. If you were stronger, you could do that move. But in my opinion, if you can hold these holds and then you can hold the next position and here's the other one, and you can feel that you can move. You have to be able to move. You can do that movement. There is so much margin of improvement that you can make between being able to sit in that position and activate the right muscles and position properly on those holds. So there should never, ever in your climbing life be a time where you can hold the holds. And honestly, sometimes it's even like, I can't hold the holds. Hey, try positioning like this. Whoa, I can pull off the ground. So I'm just blanket statementing here just to get on with the question, because I could literally do this all night. But really, there is always going to be a technical improvement aspect. So it's really the question is, can I, how can you differentiate between a strength deficiency and a technique issue? So the question would truly be diluted to its, purest form. How can you differentiate when the technical opportunity passes above the strength opportunity? And I don't know the answer to that question. I can give you my best guess if you were to show me moves. I could say this, but to come up with a rule, it's like, it doesn't exist. And to be honest, Fraser, the fact that it doesn't exist is why I have a job. If it was just people were always able to understand, then they would just go and find the best drill that ChatGPT could write up for them, or they could go find the exercise. But it's my job to be able to tell you, no, this is the thing. It isn't a strength thing. I can see it. I can see that you need, and maybe AI will be able to do that one day. I'll be out of a job. It's already coming. Okay, so moving on. Sorry, that just got me real psyched. All right, Anthea, one of the Q&A seasons on the YouTube channel was so helpful with reframing seasons. That's so funny. With reframing failure and your sports performance mindset. I just listened to it, so now I'm just sitting here to re-app some more conversational benefits. Hell yeah. Yeah, I was going to say before, actually, Brendan, I did a big, there's a mindset webinar that I did. So definitely check that one out. That was really fun. Okay, here we go. I don't have a spray wall, or Lasagna 37 from Vermont. I don't have a spray wall or any kind of training board at my house, at my gym, and I have very old school sets. How can I try effectively without the help of these boards? Okay, well, I don't know exactly what you have, but I do know that the way to train effectively is to progressively increase the demand in the form of skill, physical strain, whatever it is that you want to get better at. So if you want to get better effectively using the tools at your disposal, you will progress the intensity of those climbs and progress the complexity. You can do that because I did this at a gym before we had boards. You can do this by taking holds away. You could do this by taking a limb away, use one foot. You could do this by taking a finger away, use these three, or use these two. I'd say do that last, okay? But there are so many different ways that you can progress complexity and intensity. Keep going until you get to the hardest grade, and then make up your own boulders. Start making them up. This is something I think everyone should know by now, but I feel like I still have to hear it. You say it. You don't need a wall that is set to 40 degrees, okay? That is out there and commercially available to get to the highest point in our sport. You don't. You really don't. Get outside, dude. Some of the best climbers on this planet got there without any boards. I'm sure that Barefoot Charles has been on a board one time. The dude just climbs outside. And outside is, and especially where he's from, it's majorly vert, so I don't know what your gym is, but if it's old school, if it's Petra Cliffs, that'd be sick. If it's Petra Cliffs, you gotta let me know. I love that place. I've climbed in a couple of gyms in Vermont. Okay, so we got Anthea's coming in hot again. I personally feel confused about living so close to such great outdoor blocks and don't know when to fit in training. What would be a good start to integrate some intentional indoor practices? Do you have a basic schedule you would recommend? As you may know, I basically boulder outdoors all year round, but after traveling as much as I had, I still clearly have some training that I want to integrate into my weekly routine. Okay, Anthea, and we've talked about this because Anthea and I have worked together for one cycle, but she was doing a lot of traveling. And the question was, living as I don't know when to fit in training, what would be a good start to integrate some intentional indoor practices? I think, Anthea, that the best thing that you could do right now is to pick your top priority, the thing that's holding you back on the most boulders outside, and then go inside and find the greatest opportunity for training those things. So I'll just use an example because I know what you're doing, right? I know that you're trying to climb hard boulders. And if you're lacking that snatchy power, or we were talking about actually power endurance when you were going to Waco, you would go inside and you would make yourself a circuit that replicates the exact time duration that you would be on the wall for outside. And you would do one session where the focus is those circuits. That's the priority. That's the first thing you hit when you're fresh. You get in a high quality session and that's it. You leave. Okay. And if you want to use the gym for some supplemental exercises, do it. But that session is one time per week. You keep it to that same slot and then you schedule the rest of the week so that I know that I'm going to that session without fatigue. I know that the next time I get on rock, I'm not fatigued. So I know my rest around it. And that's it. Keep it simple. You could, if you want to add in, one other skill priority to go before that, like do a skill drill and like isolate just one, maybe like keeping tension on feet that face away from you. You can just like easily find these things on a spray wall, a board. It's just easier to find it than outside. And definitely mirrored. So next one is Brian Nian. I don't know how to properly warm up outdoors. I warm up pretty thoroughly indoors on lower grades, but outdoors does not afford as many options. Any suggestions or recommended equipment? Brian, great question. Okay, so what I like to do is I will do my full dynamic stretching routine outside. I do the same muscular activation. If you guys have ever seen those videos, I've put out a couple videos on my dynamic stretching routine. I've also done a couple videos on muscular activation, basically just holding isometric positions of exercises, just getting the body warmed up. Then I'll use the fingerboard a little bit, just do some easy pulls, and I'll do my warm up on whatever rock is by me. And, there's always going to be a boulder I'm working. I'd say 99% of the time there's a jug, okay? So what I can do is, and this is what I love to do, and I've stolen this from one of my old friends that actually turned me on to this technique, is you can take one jug and you can literally make that jug your V0, V1, V2, V3, V4, V5, V6. You can make it the whole boulder ladder. You just, you grab it. Let's say it's literally just a jug like this. Your V0 will be grab it, pull away from the wall, grab it, let your body come away from the wall over and over. Your V1, you'll do the same thing, but maybe you'll like cross and like get it back 3 with one of the grips, get it front 3 with one of the grips. You're just taking the intensity at which you're doing this. And the whole time you're mimicking movement on the ground with your body. You're getting on your toes, you're flexing every muscle. You're quite literally pantomiming like the moves of a climb that you've done on a V1 inside. So you're making up your own moves. And you can do this on, there's going to be a boulder with multiple different holds. There always is. So that's what I do. I'll do it, feet are on the ground, or my feet like smear the wall. I'm just making up, this is not a boulder, right? This is not a boulder problem. This is just, random grips on a wall. But I'm pulling on the holds hard. I'm like doing these crazy crosses, doing Gastons. I'm like creating sequences, and then I rest in between them. And that gets me really freaking warm. And if I'm not doing any heel hooking, guess what? My body's on the ground, I heel hook, and I pull on a hold with my shoe on. I'm getting all the muscles warm, and I'm visualizing the moves. That gets me warm every single time. Okay. For equipment, definitely just get like a tension block or an unlevel edge or flashboard, any little portable hangboard. You can get the Nug. There's a bunch out there. Okay. I didn't mean to say the nug like that. It's a really cool. Stephen Dimmitt made a really cool little one. There's a trillion. Everyone and their dad is making a portable hangboard. Okay, Malhu, for a small DIP inflammation, is it okay to climb or load the fingers in extension? I wouldn't, but you could. So it's not like, what is okay? Like if you've got small DIP inflammation, should you be, compressing the joint further? And definitely not doing it hard, to the point where you're dehydrating that cartilage. But like, I wouldn't. I would just, if you have inflammation, I would just not do that. That's my recommendation. During the middle of my capacity phase, I got a small DIP inflammation flare up. How should I prepare to avoid it happening again in strength phases coming up? Okay, so if you know that doing a lot of this is irritating that DIP, you just have to change up your grips. Before you even do this one, what I would do is maybe you can do it now when it stops being so flared up, but I would just do intentional hangs where you are pressing through. You don't have to do that, the curling where you're like, it's like a lot of people are trying to do this right now where they're like only activating the NDIP. You're just, I'm going to derail real quick. So like, the whole point of a joint in climbing is to not open up, right? It's like when we're doing this at the PIP, what we're training our fingers to do is not open, right? And that opening is that extension. So if you know that this joint has the ability to go into further hyperextension, then you need to strengthen it so that it does not. So it can, just like anything, when it gets very acute, it gives you a mechanical advantage. So like when I'm here, it may be a lot easier to maintain that neutral. I can maintain that angle here. I'm sorry, that flexion. But as I get open, it may become harder. And it's when I'm here, that's going to be the hardest. Maybe a little easier. Okay, so you just need to make sure that it stays neutral, okay, and not get any, go into flexion when you're actually strength training it. So you can build strength in that range, that angle. Sorry. Okay, Peter, here we go. Save me, Peter. I was just rambling. Okay, hope you're doing well. In a previous webinar, you, I think, mentioned something akin to max hangs, but for stepping on bad footholds. I can't seem to find the webinar now, so maybe I'm mistaken. Can you talk more about this kind of approach? My gym seems to set bad feet sporadically, and it's something I'd love to improve on. Also, how was your most recent session? Peter, thank you for asking. First off, very kind of you. No one wants to know how Charlie trains. But yes, so I do this. I do this on my home wall. And I used to do this. I started doing it again for Piahi. I wasn't doing it like all year. And then I just started doing this like 3 weeks ago. And the gains are obviously quickly coming back. But because I used to do this back in the day, and it made a ridiculous difference. So it is kind of the same concept that I was just explaining to Malhu. In our shoe, the toes, right, in your shoe, the toes are like this. But when we step on something on slab, they're being asked to put a lot of force in that big toe, and that big toe will eventually do this. It's going to go into the hyperflexion, and it's going to tire at being able to create a rigid surface and not open up. So, because the feet are just like our hands and that we can strengthen that grip and the ability to not open, and that we can get better when we get stronger fingers, we get stronger on smaller and smaller edges. You can support more and more of your weight on smaller and smaller feet if you strengthen your toes in the same way. Best way to do it is to wear a very soft shoe and then do the same thing as max hangs. Flex that toe down. Okay, make sure it's flexed, just like you would step on a small edge. Everyone should be flexing their toe down in their shoe when they do that. If you're not, you're missing out on like 30 pounds. Flex down and just hang out there. Just load it up. Should feel good, shouldn't feel any pain. Same exact protocol as a max hang. So, Peter, I do sub max. I do not come anywhere close to a classic max hang of like 10 seconds on, 4 seconds off, 4 seconds margin. I do about 10 seconds. What I do is 10 seconds, and I could hold that position for 20. I leave it a fat 10 second. They're sub max hangs. They work really well, and the reason I do that is because the toes take a lot of load all day, and it's not like they're getting a rest like my fingers. So if I'm doing a lot of walking, I'd want to be careful. I've had my toes be really, really strained for a while. So if you're not used to it, don't just jump into max hangs. Like really do a while of conditioning and build some capacity in the toes. Okay, Stam. Almost got me saying Sam. All right. Oh, Stam from Finland. What's up, dude? Hey, Charlie, I've been climbing for 8 months. Oh, welcome to the sport, my dude. Started climbing V6 pretty often, but I really feel like my finger strength is holding me back. For example, I struggle on moonboard V3, V4 benchmarks. Whenever I do a max hang session, I can't climb for 2 to 3 days since my fingers are so sore. Is it worth it to sacrifice time on the wall, or should I climb more like everyone says? Stam, you should climb more like everyone says. I'm sorry, dude. Your biggest opportunities are not going to come from max hangs right now. You could do them. You definitely could. And it's not like they're bad for you. I would say that you probably shouldn't do max hangs because your tendons are just not going to be able to sustain that for very long. Like you might find that, the next 6 months are great. And then the next year you have, 3 back-to-back finger injuries. I've seen that happen a lot. Like, then I'm telling you, like, you could do max hangs. Next 6 months, going to be sick. Like, you're going to get awesome adaptations. But the whole while, you're just going to be accumulating tiny little micro tears that you can't feel. And your muscles are going to get so strong, and they're going to pull on those tiny tearing tendons really hard all the time, and that's how you end up with an injury. So that's the bigger reason why I think people that actually know what they're talking about say you shouldn't finger train, like isolate finger training in the beginning. If you wanted to do anything, I would do like repeaters, lighter repeaters, like submax or density hangs, so that you're actually building, helping the tendons build without building such, giving it such high intensities. And definitely don't take it to failure. Don't take any of that to failure, like not even really that close. But yeah, dude, you should be getting as much time on the wall practicing skills. It's a skill sport. I can't say that enough. Okay. Malhu, what intensity of repeaters would you prescribe during capacity phase? About like 6 to max 7 out of 10 RPE on that last set. Like, should come off feeling good. Like I could have done another set, but I didn't. And just add more and more and more of that. Volume's pretty. If you're going to do repeaters as, your finger protocol and the capacity phase, you would want to spread that out across like 5 grip types and do like, two. Start with 1, build to like 4 sets throughout throughout either an 8-week. Or you could build to like 2 or 3. And just add reps each week. I mean, there's so many different ways you can do this, so many different repeater protocols. Those are just some ways I've done it. Michael, hi, Charlie. Hope you're doing well. I'd like to improve my comp style climbing, but my gym doesn't set any coordination moves. I've been trying to make my own boulders on the wall, but it's just not the same. Michael, is there a question in there? If there is, let me know. Otherwise, dude, I know. It sucks. It sucks when you don't have a very high-level coach or a high-level comp climber there to make up problems with you. I have to do this for some of my athletes. In fact, I have World Cup level athletes. Quite literally. I have an athlete that's competing in the World Cups, the bouldering World Cups, open, adult, that can't make their own boulders. They're not good at making their own boulders. And they've got a gym that actually sets really good climbs, like great material, great to work with, awesome stuff. But it's a skill that you have to develop by doing it, and that this person doesn't really do it that often. So believe it or not, you're putting in the work to be able to create awesome boulders and always have awesome comp style stuff for yourself. Okay, Malhu, becoming a question champion. Thank you, sir. You mentioned you like Abrahangs for recovery/rest days. Would you recommend doing them on every rest day, for example? So I like them. I think they're good. I don't think that you need to do them. I think they can be helpful. I think that they can be harmful if you shouldn't be loading your fingers. So you could definitely do them on every rest day. You don't have to. It's you could just get blood flow any other way. But frequent loading has been shown to be healthy for the tissues. So I think you could do them. Would I recommend doing them on every rest day, for example? Sure. I'm going to go ahead and say yes, I would. Depending on the person, I would recommend. You could do that every rest day. I'm not going to go out of my way and recommend that people do it. But if you're saying, could I do it or should I? I'd say it's not the worst idea in the world. It's not going to move your climbing needle up very much. It's like, here's what, like, if you're healthy, those Emil Abrahamson hangs could move you, it could gain you another 0.01% per day, or it could move you down a 0.01% per day if you do them slightly too hard. So it's not going to make a big difference that much, but it could be good. Okay. It's almost like with dinner, should I have broccoli or should I have another serving of pasta? Actually, no, because then you could argue the carbs. Broccoli or bad analogy. Or just another glass of water. How about that? Another glass of water. Damn, but then there's hydration. I'm bailing. I'm moving on to the next question. Sorry. Sometimes no one will ever know the analogy I was trying to make. Sometimes I will do a move successfully with a certain beta and decide in my mind, this works, so let's not mess with it, rather than continuing to look for a better option. However, sometimes I figure out a better option later that would have made the climb easier. I don't want to constantly second guess all my beta, but I also don't want to stop trying new options too early just because something worked once. How do you find the sweet spot between these two options? Oh, Frog, you straight up don't, my dude. That's the whole thing with this game. You could be wasting days on the wrong beta. It's just the way it is. If it works, run with it. Keep doing it. Unless you find something that could work that's easier. If it's a long-term project, try every freaking beta there is. Try them all. Don't leave any stone unturned. If it's something you're at a new gym and you want to get this climb done, try the move. If you found a way that works and it's not too hard and it's not like, I got it done and I could do that again. And I think that with that beta, I could do the whole boulder. Run with it. Keep going. I wouldn't sit there and keep trying to find something easier. But if you do it and, it's the hardest move, but you got it done, and you've done all the other moves and linked it, but that move's the hardest, maybe you should try other beta. If you have suspicions and there is other beta that you've identified, or, you're just looking at it, you're like, man, this thing's really hard. Maybe I can make that easier. Then yes, I would try something else. I hope that helped. It wasn't just obvious. Okay, Lammy, can I ask how to train this like mantle move? Because I really struggle with type of movement on climbs. Hey guys, let's see this mantle move. Here we go. I'm not going to full screen it. No one else can see this mantle move, I think. That's the thing. Sorry. I'm looking at it, though, and the webinar people will see it. Okay. Hold on. Lammy, my guy, go low. You're going high. Your leg is straight. You're like this on this. You're like this. Don't try to do this. Stay low. Go over the foot. So your body's up high. You're trying to mantle. Go low. So stay low, get your hips and everything over the foot with the hand up here, and then do that, and then stand up. Okay, without zooming all the way in, I'm 99% sure that's how this move's gonna go. Send me a DM if it works. Okay, Lanasar. But anyway, you asked me how you would train that. Here's the thing with climbing moves is the best way to train that move is actually by doing that move, but easier. and then do it many times. That's it. You could train the muscles that are being used too to do the same type of motion. So you could do tricep extensions. You could do dips. You could do pull-ups. Let's see. You could do squats on that right leg. You could do squats where the leg's above you and then you bring it below you. But you're missing all of the skill aspects that are specific to that move and putting it all together. So I would do those moves specifically on the wall and then go and do those exercises after if they still have juice. But you should just do as many as you can on the wall. You really only want to do those supplemental drills when the fingers or the weakest link has given out, but those are still able to be trained. So like me personally, when I'm training, I'm trying to get all of my work done on the wall, but inevitably my fingers will fail first, but my legs are far from failing. I can still heel hook all day, but I can't practice them because my fingers are tired. So I go and I train those muscles, but in as specific of climbing way as possible. Okay. Lanasar, how would you suggest practicing visualizing how to send a climb as someone new to bouldering? I've been having trouble remembering the whole route I map out after I get a few moves in. Very new to bouldering. Okay, well, that is just how it's going to be. You're not going to be able to remember jack shit for a while. Just letting you know that. You're not. It's just your brain is not good at that skill. It's a skill. That's it. You don't see the patterns. Every pattern to you is like one of your first, 20 times seeing it. So to remember something that you've just seen and you're just learning, it's really hard to do. The brain doesn't really work that way. It's like if I just told you a bunch of people's names and then, had them walk around and then you asked you like, all right, close your eyes. Who'd you see? And in what order were they? It would be too much new information. So if you do want to practice visualization, what you want to do is do the moves on the ground, do them over and over, and then don't look at the climb and repeat what you just did. Then turn back around, do it again. Did you, when you turned away, was that the same thing that you did when you looked back at the wall and you saw it again? If so, okay. You weren't looking at it, right? That's the same thing that's going to happen when you're on the wall. Because when you get on the wall, even though you're on the climb, you are not looking at the same climb. You're looking at it. There are two different images. One is an image of a climbing wall in front of you with all of the holds very far away. And they look small and they're in this order. You can see the whole thing. Then when you're on the wall, the image is totally different. And your brain's going, holy shit, I got to think of this and that and this and that and this and that. So there's no way you're going to be able to remember a different image in a sequence when your brain's trying to think about how do I do this new type of skill. So, terrible answer here, but be patient. And every single time you go into the gym, do that. Feel the moves. Quite literally feel it. The more physical sensation you put to it, feel what that hold's going to feel like. Feel the exact order. I do this, and then I put the foot on, and I put the foot on. It feels like this, and then I do that. Okay, now turn away. Do that same thing. Okay, just do it a little section at a time. Don't try to do the whole climb at once. Get really good at doing smaller sections, then add on, do 5 moves at a time, then add on, then add on, then add on. Okay, easy does it all. What should I prioritize in climbing 5 months in? My best climb so far is V8, but I climb around V6, 7. Man, a lot of newer climbers here today. I'm really happy about this. What should I prioritize in climbing 5 months in? My best climb so far is V8, but I climb V6 to 7. Well, for 5 months in, V8's pretty damn stupendous. So that's incredible. What should you prioritize in climbing 5 months in? That would be learning as much as you possibly can. You're already at this webinar, which is fantastic. Just learn and watch as much climbing as you possibly can. Watch the best climbers. Surround yourself with the best climbers. Do the same type of movement that you see them doing, even if it's just one move at a time. And get on as many different styles as possible. And get on as many different types of holds, types of moves, types of rock. Go to different areas. Just get variety. Get experience. Don't pigeonhole yourself into anything yet. Don't think that there's any one way. don't think that if any one person tells you it, even if they're the best climber on the planet. You want to get exposed to everything. Okay, that is your best bet at avoiding injury, learning, developing, and falling deeper and deeper in love with the sport. Okay. Reese Anthony, coming in hot again. I'd really like to know, how do you structure a full outdoor day to maximize performance? Gonna have to hit me with the goal. I need to know the goal of that day, and then I can tell you the structure to maximize performance for that day. Is it a project day? Is it a circuit day? Is it a day of a trip? Give me a little more, and then I can help you. I'm going to hold off with, sprinting down that aisle. Okay, Malhu. If you are successfully managing your wet skin with antihydral and it is not in bad shape at the moment, which product would you apply at night? Rhino Skin Performance, nothing. Beeswax. Successfully managing your wet skin and it's not in bad shape. Dude, it sounds like you're asking me if my skin is great and what should I do to it? Answer's nothing. I would leave it. If you want to be a little proactive, you could use some beeswax, just a little bit. I wouldn't go crazy with it. Definitely wouldn't put on the performance is just going to make it a little drier usually. But, it's up to you. Do you want to make it a little softer, just a little bit, and hydrate it? Give it a little bit of beeswax. Want to make it a little drier, a little more, just drier really with your performance when you have antihydral, because it's going to work differently when it's applied to that type of skin. Okay. Suju, here we go. This reminded me of Annie Sanders. She did not have access to comp style boulders before the championship in Korea last year. She only climbed on boards before the comp and ended up not performing well. Maybe you should travel to some gyms with comp boulders. Yeah, totally. Just going to throw this out there. Annie Sanders did perform pretty well. She was regularly in finals, so she's pretty good, but she was not, for her strength level, she was not able to perform at the same level on those much higher intensity, complexity comp style boulders. Okay. But yes, I agree with what you're saying. Totally. Okay. Liao Shoshan, how can I become stronger and better at climbing? Okay. When I live in a spot where climbing isn't famous, so I have limited access to a wall, not a big gym, lead climbing, for 2.5 hours in total, 2 times per week, by joining a club. Don't have access to a hangboard as well. Been climbing for around a year and a half, climbing 6B. I feel I lack strength and endurance. Also, my age is 28. Okay, Liao. Now, you gave me a toughie. So first one's first, I would buy or make a hangboard for sure. It will cost you around $0 to make one, just a basic one. One of my favorite hangboards to start with is the door frame of a door. I think that's fantastic. You can quite literally get to the strongest levels of finger strength with just a door frame, as long as you have some weight. Honestly, you don't even need weight, to be completely honest with you. You literally don't. Then what you need to do is just create a program. What are give yourself some structure. If you've got 2.5 hours in total, 2 times per week, I would go to the gym and, like I was explaining before, get on multiple, varieties of climbs. And, I don't know what your goal is. You said lack strength and endurance. Okay. So what I'd want to do for your climbing is challenge yourself on routes, on boulders that require strength and require endurance. Because you only have 2 days a week, I would make those both full climbing sessions. I don't even think that you should really be doing a ton of hangboarding when you're at the gym if you only have that amount of time. Maybe you could do 5 to 10 minutes of hanging in the beginning when you're warming up, just to get the fingers ready, and use that as a small structural progressive overload. But I would probably want to do that at home if I were you. And I would go into the gym and get on, whatever it is. If it's going to be a hard circuit of hard routes that make you stronger and give you more endurance, great. Just progressively increase that load. You could add in some types of workouts if you want to do that, in your climbing, but I would definitely keep in some projecting a little bit on one of the day to help your strength. but you can also do that with the hangboarding. I mean, there's just, oh man, dude, there's so many things I need to know about you specifically, what you're trying to do. I mean, just like gain strength and endurance. Again, there's like a billion ways to achieve those. I hope I gave you enough information. I would also start maybe just adding in some other supplemental workouts if you only have 2.5 hours to climb in those sessions for climbing. Okay, guys, coming up to the last questions here. So, Malhu, been thinking questions for the entire month. Oh, heck yeah. In the capacity phase, most coaches prescribe form aerobic training such as arcing. But how much do you value that compared to just accumulated volume spread throughout a day-long outdoor bouldering session where you sometimes rest? So sorry, 15 minutes between boulders. Arcing's good. I like arcing. Arcing does something very different. So you can arc, you can not arc. I've done many phases where I don't arc. But in capacity phases, you certainly can arc. Also, arcing kind of just, if you're going to arc, you could just do that all year long. You don't need to have it just in a capacity phase. It will eventually fade. So it's like, if you're going to do it, you might as well just keep in an aerobic base for all year long. I do it 5 minutes of very light arcing every session to warm up. It's super low intensity. Helps me get flowing, get my blood going. It helps me stay aerobically fit all throughout the year. And I really enjoy doing it. So how do they compare? They're different. They're very, arcing's much more submax and it's strictly aerobic. Where if you're doing capacity and you're doing just like doing a bunch of different boulders, it may never be aerobic. You might stay anaerobic the whole time if the climbs are hard enough, and they're short. So you're just strengthening different energy systems and you're gaining different capabilities. Okay. What advice do you have for toe hooks? Easy does it all. Come on, man. You got to give me a better question format than that. What advice do I have for toe hooks? Be good at them. No, don't not be good at them. There you go, man. No, I'll be real here. Advice for toe hooks. They are all about the direction at which you are pulling. If you notice that you're sliding off toe hooks, you need to fix the angle that your body is at, the angle at which you're pulling. So your legs pull towards your hips. I think I'll just give you this one, right? So if you are in a toe hook and you're trying to grab on the hold, if your ass is hanging off the wall, your hips are far from the wall, you're pulling at a poor angle of, let's say we're toe hooking this. If my hips are down here, I'm pulling this way. But I want to pull this way, perpendicularly into that hold. So I'd want to raise my hips. I can do that by flexing my back and raising my hips, or I can do that by pulling myself up with my arms. So many times I have to tell people in videos, your arms are straight. That's why you're falling off the toe hook. But you're supposed to keep your arms straight in rock climbing. No, dude, not when you're on a roof and you're trying to toe hook something over there. Pull yourself up. That improves the angle of pull on that hold so much. You're not going to lose that toe hook if you try when you do that. But the other thing is strengthen those muscles on the front of your calf. Those guys are going to be what keeps your foot up. Okay? Seriously. Same thing with your toes. Your toes will flex upwards in your shoe. That you strengthen them in that range. Okay. I've seen people that can get in perfect positions, but the foot just goes like this. It just flubs. They had no strength there. Okay. Of course. Oh, Reese Anthony said circuit day, and the question was, really don't know how to structure a full outdoor day to maximize performance. Okay, circuit day. Sheesh, Reese Anthony. I wish you'd said projecting day because circuit day. Man, what type of circuit? I know I don't want to ask another qualifier, but I kind of have to, man. The question was, so sorry, dude. How to structure a full outdoor day to maximize performance. Wow. Okay, circuit day. Here we go. Man, you had to ask me this with 1 minute past when I end these. Okay, so there's just Reese Anthony. Oh man, dude, it's such a long answer that I have here. Okay, so I'll just go through the basics then. Man, there's so many questions I want to ask in response to that. Okay, project day. Thank you. Okay, you switched it down at the bottom. Okay. Again, though, geez, there's just how do I execute a perfect day? Where do I start? Well, you want to go into it fully recovered with great skin. Okay, you want to know what climb you're going after. You want to make sure that your sessions before that did not have a lot of overlap. You want to make sure that when you go in to get on that climb, you have not been working those same positions, those same muscles hard in the last couple days. You want to be well hydrated. You want to fuel properly. You want to make sure that you're getting great sleep the night before. All these things make a huge difference. Now, when you go outside, you want to make sure that you're getting to it at the right time of day. You want to make sure, geez, dude, the list in front of me is so long for this. I'm so sorry. Reese Anthony, I'm going to bail. I'm sorry. I haven't done this on a question, but I am quite literally going to bail because there's just way too much to discuss. I do have 2 videos on my YouTube if you want to see how to project, proper projecting technique. I have a 2-part series on that. But dude, I'm so sorry, man. I want to give you an answer, but there's just so much to cover. It's just nauseating. It's one of the longest chapters in my book, A Projecting Day. A circuiting day would be even different. There's just so many it would need to be more targeted to what part of the day. I'm so sorry. I'm going to answer the other questions and I gotta sign off. It's been a big work day, but I'm going to let you guys know something exciting at the end now. Okay. Do you ever struggle with admiring your work and flubbing ascend by losing focus after getting through the crux? Yeah, I've done that before for sure in the past. I really don't do it often. I think that I've been traumatized by seeing people do that, especially in comps. I've seen a couple of people grab the finish hold, victory pump, and then the foot picks off and they don't get the match and they don't finish the climb. So I don't stop focusing until the very end, but I certainly have eased up at the end of a climb when I thought it was done, and it certainly wasn't, and I'd lost a little focus. So yeah, I've been there. Stam, thank you for answering the question, man. Follow up: would you recommend long 5 to 6 hour sessions 2 to 3 times a week, or no 2 to 3 hour sessions 4 to 5 times a week for optimal skill gains? Absolutely. Absolutely. Do not do the 5 to 6 hour long. The quality of your session is just going down and down and down and down. You want to stack. It's kind of like 1 rep theory. Your first rep is always your highest quality. So there are some people that think, okay, and this is the case with very high intensity output. If I could do 2 reps, but that first rep I could do more weight and place more load under the muscle, why would I do that second rep if it's even more fatiguing, even higher injury risk, and lower quality? Why wouldn't I, if I was doing 5 sets of 2 reps, why wouldn't I just do 10 sets of 1 rep? And there's some validity to that. There really is. And the answer would be, if you want to get really good at 1 rep and you want to get just max out in your strength, then just do 1 rep. But you can't really do that for climbing because we're never really doing 1 rep unless you're doing dynos, which is, little spoiler alert, that's kind of how I train for dynos. I'm not going to lie. And it works really freaking well. So it's the same type of thing though. Every rep after that is going to be a little bit lower and lower quality. So you're getting 2 to 3 hours of really high quality training where your injury risk is really low. So you'd be better off doing more of those sessions because you're getting more recovery in between those. Right? As opposed to having no recovery between 2 of those sessions and just doing them back to back. The quality of that second one's going to suck. Peter, I might be going to Method Underground. It's a big old maybe. Okay, I think. Okay, Liao has asked me the last question, and then I'm going to, this is it. Peter's thumbs up is the last question, then I gotta go. I gotta go to sleep earlier tonight. But it's been a long day. My wife and I actually went and saw our baby on the sonogram together today and saw everything getting checked. So we are really, really excited. It was a big day for us. I am stoked. So we're going to go talk about that and tell some people tonight. And so yeah, anyway, Liao said, I don't know which strength should I aim at. For example, I should train my muscles in my other days at a gym, calisthenics in a bar, pull-ups, weights maybe, or focus more on finger strength, trying to hang pull-ups at home in top of wardrobe door frame. Should be doing both. I think the thing with these different categories is they are both going to help you, and there's not a lot of overlap layout. So if you have the time and you can do it, it's only going to help. Now, there's a limit to that. It's not like working out every day. Definitely don't do your pull training every day. Definitely don't do hangboarding every day. But adding in, 1 or even 2 days where you're doing some hangs at home, adding in 1 to 2, maybe even 3 days when you're doing different exercises at home, these things will really help. So I wouldn't feel so much paralysis about what you should choose. Just choose exercises that you know will benefit your climbing and make your muscles stronger, and that are, as specific as you can to climbing. The door just opened, and you didn't see someone walk in. It's because that someone is sneaking under the radar. It's because they're very short, because that someone is right there. Hank appearance. First Hank appearance in the webinar. That was freaking hysterical. Anyway, I don't know where I was at, but I think I answered the question. Anywho, thank you guys. Thank you very much. I'm very psyched. And guys, just thank you for coming. I really appreciate everyone showing up, asking great questions. This was fantastic webinar. Hank showed up. So I'm going to head out and enjoy the rest of the night with my wife. I will see you guys next week, and we'll be letting you guys know exactly when what that next topic is for the webinar. And then big announcements coming out soon. Big ones that you guys will be psyched on. Not baby related. But I will talk to you guys later. Thanks for coming. Deuces.